Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. Lawyers, what's a law that isn't real that normal people insist exists? Probate attorney here. I've had many people ask me when the reading of the will is going to take place. I explain to them that only happens in movies. But one of these days I am going to have one, and hire a mysterious blonde wearing a veil to sit in the corner quietly. Then I'll tell everyone that she inherits everything. Provided, of course, that she must adopt the dissident's cute, but troublemaking 6-year-old child no one knew about. Or she can spend the night in a haunted house. Her choice. There will now be a requirement for such a mysterious lady's presence at the reading of my will, written into my will. Along with a handful of burly yet solemn fellows, dressed in stereotypical G-man attire, complete with sunglasses and earpieces. One will be Russian, or at least able to fake the accent consistently, and should only be curtly acknowledged by the others. Every one of them should be entirely vague about how they knew me except from business, and the men should all refuse to acknowledge the presence of the veiled woman, and feign terror if compelled to look at her. My friends and I have an agreement that if one of us dies, the others hire a good-looking woman in a long black coat and large sunglasses to stand slightly away from everyone at the funeral crying underneath an umbrella, or parasol if it's not raining. I'll do it, and I'll throw in long, red fingernails at no additional cost. If you can make your sobs sound vaguely Russian, then you're hired. My father, who is a lawyer. Policemen cannot lie to you. This is false. They can and they do. I heard you were smuggling animals. What are you, a cop? People that think it's illegal to be videotaped in a public space. I saw someone on Nextdoor complaining about my reasonable right to privacy in a public place, when someone was shaming 20 people standing together waiting for takeout. Sorry, that's the opposite of how it works. If big time celebrities can't stop paparazzi from following them and their family 24/7, I have no clue why ordinary people believe that they have the right not to be caught on camera in public. I'm honestly surprised that more celebrities don't hire people to follow the paparazzi themselves around and make their life as annoying as possible. Things like standing in front of their shots or following them to the doctor's office and then demanding to know why they were there. I'd 100% watch a TV show where especially obnoxious paparazzi were followed around for months and harassed in the same way they harass others. I second this. Start a show called How'd You Like It? Take people on FB, Reddit, Twitter, and put them through whatever awful take they are espousing or doing. An arrest isn't magically invalidated if the police don't read you your rights on the spot. There could be a whole thread of just misconceptions people have from watching cop TV. Miranda Rights protect you from self-incrimination when being questioned by the police for a crime. It doesn't mean they have to Miranda you the second you get arrested. If you aren't questioned, then it doesn't apply. People also think it's illegal not to let them make a phone call after being arrested. In California, it's not illegal to discuss your wages with your co-workers. Despite what your boss might say, it's actually illegal nationally for a company to retaliate for discussing wages. They typically just make up some other bullet reason to fire you instead. Make up some other bullet reason. Or fire you for no reason at all, as California is an at-will employment state. As a former lawyer UK, I lost count of the amount of people that thought jaywalking was a crime. Unless it's a road that specifically states no pedestrians or a motorway, no such offense exists here. Too much American media. It technically is a crime in America, so people think it applies in other places. Even in America, that is on a state level. In some states, it is just on a city level. My dad once got a ticket for jaywalking because he walked around a police car that was stopped at a red light, completely obstructing the crosswalk. It's a law that exists, but widely misunderstood is the concept of entrapment. If the police put a bait vehicle in a high crime area, that is not entrapment. If the police are watching a bar known to overserve to see if there are impaired drivers at the end of the night, that is not entrapment. Entrapment only occurs when a gov agent suggests committing a crime that you were not otherwise going to commit. The case that really set the court precedent for this was Wild. FBI agents were badgering this farmer to buy peen for months, and finally he was like, sure, whatever, wham. Jail time. I believe it was cleared, but damn, was that dirty. Don't forget where the undercover befriended a mentally handicapped kid and eventually forced him to buy weed for her, then arrested him. That's still the most pissed off I've ever been after an episode of This American Life. If I recall correctly, the kid in question had a massive crush on the girl who turned out to be an undercover, and she leveraged that to get him to buy weed for her then have him arrested. The one that is the most frustrating to me, even though it's not really a specific claim that a particular law exists, more a rule of evidence, is that's just hearsay. You have no evidence. Comes up all the time, in all kinds of contexts. Even lawyers love using it when it suits them. Nothing but hearsay and speculation. Usually, what people mean when they say that is don't believe them. They're lying. Which, fair enough, but that's not what hearsay means. Lots of evidence is just a person talking. That's what a witness is. It's why testimony exists. It's not evidence just because it's a person talking. Hearsay just means that in most cases, you can't have person A say that person B said XYZ in order to prove that XYZ actually is true. Hearsay, get it? I heard B say it. It just means your witness can only talk about things they actually know about. And, extremely importantly, it also doesn't count as hearsay when person B is actually the person on the other side of the case. Person A is totally allowed to say person B told me yes, I will commit the crime on Tuesday if person B is the defendant, who has been accused of committing the crime on Tuesday. You don't get to complain it's hearsay if you're the one who supposedly said the thing they heard. This should be higher. People don't seem to be aware that a single person testifying about what they saw happened can often be decisive evidence on its own. Until the development of photography and video cameras, witness testimony was one of the highest forms of evidence possible to provide. Leaving no witnesses was more important before the days of CCTV. With the recent advent of deepfakes, it's possible we may end up returning to a world where witness testimony is regarded more highly than video evidence. In the UK, it's not illegal to park on someone else's driveway. It's classified as trespassing, a civil offense, not criminal, which means the police can't do anything. This particularly surprises people as many think that they have exclusive rights to the parking outside their house as well. What recourse do you have? In my old London borough, you phone the council and they guaranteed to turn up in an hour and tow it away. No questions asked. So long as you can prove you live there, that it's across, in your property, and you don't want it there, they tow it and charge the owner for recovery. It's not the same everywhere, but, because it's only a civil matter, you can just have it towed away yourself and charge the owner for recovery and storage. If nothing else, it's fly tipping. If you're asking about someone parking on the driveway, then you can remove, or have removed, that vehicle to a legal parking area. But, to ensure no damage is caused to that vehicle, whilst moving it. If you're asking about blocking someone's drive so they can't get onto the road, only works that way. Doesn't matter if you can't get on your drive, then the police can remove it. But it will not be a priority for them, and it will no doubt take some time before this is actioned. The local council parking enforcement may also assist. In the UK, that it is illegal to drink under the age of 18. You can buy alcohol with a meal at 16 beer, wine, cider, and you are not breaking any laws if you give your child some alcohol in the privacy of your own home and they are over the age of 5. You can buy alcohol with a meal, but do restaurants have a final say as to whether or not they'll serve it? Yes. The restaurant chain I used to work at wouldn't sell alcohol to anyone under 18, even if it was just one beer to have with a meal. They do. And as a former 16-year-old I can assure you that many waiters are unaware of that law. Oh wait, I used to be 16 too. Will? No laws against driving barefoot. Mandatory edition. In the US. In Germany, while appropriate footwear is not directly required, you can be found at fault if your choice of footwear or lack thereof leads to your inability to avert an accident. I believe it's the same in Australia. If you have an accident, whilst wearing flip-flops, you might struggle with insurance to prove that wearing them didn't cause or add to the causing of the accident. Saw this and immediately went to Google to disprove. But you're absolutely right. I've been told this my entire life and always thought it was dumb. The reasoning everyone always told me was because the vibrations from the pedals would make your foot fall asleep or go numb, so you wouldn't have as much control, even though I know so many people who drive barefoot and have never heard one of them say that their foot fell asleep. My mum said, what if you get in a wreck and have to walk over broken glass? Yeah, just because it's not illegal doesn't mean it's not a good rule to follow. At least have some shoes to put on in case of emergency.